My beloved child, there are moments in life that seem ordinary on the surface, yet they quietly become the turning points that change everything. Today's message is about one of those moments. Someone special finally opened up to their family. For a very long time, they carried thoughts in silence. They carried emotions they could not easily explain. They carried hopes they were afraid to speak aloud. And while everyone around them believed they were calm and certain, a different story was unfolding deep within their heart. What happened next was something no one expected. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Do not skip this message, because every word is connected to the surprising revelation that is about to unfold. There was a time when this person believed that remaining silent was easier than speaking the truth. Every day they replayed conversations in their mind. Every day they wondered what would happen if they finally shared what they had been holding inside. The fear was not about rejection. The fear was not about disagreement. The fear was about being understood. Sometimes the hardest thing in the world is allowing others to see what truly matters to you. And that is exactly where this story begins. For months, perhaps even longer, they watched the people around them discuss plans, dreams, and expectations. They listened carefully. They smiled when appropriate. They nodded when necessary. Yet behind every smile was a thought they could not ignore. Behind every conversation was a truth waiting for the right moment to emerge. They knew that one day the silence would end. They knew that eventually they would have to speak from the deepest part of their heart. What makes this story extraordinary is not simply that they opened up. It is what happened after they did. Because sometimes the outcome we fear the most is not the outcome waiting for us at all. Sometimes life is preparing a response so unexpected that it completely changes our perspective. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The day finally arrived. It did not begin with dramatic signs. It did not begin with a grand announcement. It began quietly. A normal conversation turned into a meaningful one. A simple discussion slowly became more personal. And then, without warning, the words they had been carrying for so long finally came out. At first, there was silence. The kind of silence that feels longer than it really is. The kind of silence that makes a heart beat faster. The kind of silence that leaves a person wondering what comes next. In that moment, they could not predict the reaction. They could not know what others were thinking. They could only wait. And that waiting felt endless. Yet something remarkable happened. Instead of judgment, there was curiosity. Instead of distance, there was attention. Instead of misunderstanding, there was a willingness to listen. That was the first surprise. But it was not the biggest one. The conversation continued. Questions were asked. Feelings were shared. Memories were revisited. Things that had never been discussed before suddenly became part of the discussion. Walls that had stood for years began to disappear one by one. And with every passing minute, the atmosphere changed. The person who had once feared speaking honestly began to feel lighter. Stronger. Freer. For the first time in a long time, they no longer felt alone with their thoughts. But do not skip, because the most powerful moment had not happened yet. As the conversation deepened, one family member revealed something unexpected. They admitted that they had noticed signs long ago. They admitted that they had sensed something important was being kept hidden. They admitted that they had been waiting patiently, hoping the right moment would come. Imagine hearing that. Imagine carrying a secret concern for so long, only to discover that someone already understood more than you realized. That realization changed everything. Suddenly, what seemed like a lonely journey no longer felt lonely at all. And then another revelation followed. One by one, people around them began sharing their own experiences. Stories that had never been told before emerged into the light. Lessons from the past resurfaced. Personal struggles became visible. The conversation transformed from a single confession into a powerful exchange of understanding. No one expected it. No one planned it. Yet everyone present felt the significance of the moment. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. As the evening continued, an incredible realization became impossible to ignore. The thing that had been causing so much worry was actually creating connection. The truth that seemed risky to share was bringing people closer together. The fear that once felt overwhelming was slowly being replaced by relief. And then came the statement that changed the entire atmosphere. A family member looked directly at them and said something that stopped everyone in their tracks. It was not a complicated statement. It was not a dramatic speech. It was simple. Yet it carried more power than anyone expected. The message was clear. You do not have to carry everything by yourself anymore. Those words landed deeply. Because sometimes the greatest gift is not advice. Sometimes the greatest gift is knowing that you are supported. The room felt different after that. The energy felt different. Even the future looked different. What once seemed uncertain suddenly appeared full of possibility. And here is where the story becomes even more fascinating. After that conversation ended, the effects did not disappear. They grew stronger. The following days brought new discussions, new understanding, new opportunities, new confidence. The decision to open up created a ripple effect that reached far beyond a single conversation. That is why this moment matters so much. It was never only about speaking. It was about transformation. It was about discovering that honesty can unlock doors that fear keeps closed. It was about learning that support often exists long before we recognize it. And it was about realizing that one courageous moment can change the direction of an entire journey. But there is still one final revelation. The biggest surprise was not what the family said. The biggest surprise was what happened inside the heart of the person who opened up. For the first time, they stopped wondering whether they would be accepted. For the first time, they stopped carrying the burden of uncertainty. For the first time, they felt peace replacing pressure. And that inner change became more valuable than anything else. Because when fear loses its power, possibilities begin to appear everywhere. When doubt becomes smaller, confidence becomes larger. When silence ends, growth begins. So if this message found you today, remember this carefully. The story is not only about someone special. It is also about the power of truth, the power of connection, the power of being understood, and the power of discovering that the outcome you fear may be hiding a blessing you never expected. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Because sometimes the moment that seems ordinary becomes the moment that changes everything. Sometimes a single conversation opens a door to a future that once felt impossible. And sometimes, when someone special finally opens up to their family, what happens next is not rejection, distance, or disappointment. What happens next is understanding. What happens next is connection. What happens next is hope. And what happened next in this story became a reminder that some of life's greatest surprises begin with the courage to speak from the heart. A remarkable detail is about to emerge, and very few people could have predicted it. The story did not end when someone special finally opened up to their family. In fact, that was only the beginning. What happened after that conversation became the reason so many emotions suddenly started making sense. Stay till the end. Do not skip. Something huge is waiting for you. The morning after that life-changing discussion felt different. Nothing around them had physically changed, yet everything felt new. The same rooms looked different. The same people seemed closer. The same future appeared brighter. It was as if a heavy door had finally opened, allowing fresh hope to enter a place where uncertainty had lived for far too long. What nobody realized was that the family continued discussing the conversation long after it ended. The words spoken that day stayed in their minds. They reflected on every detail. They revisited every emotion. They thought about every possibility. And while someone special believed the chapter was over, another chapter was quietly beginning behind the scenes. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. As family members reflected on everything they had learned, they began noticing something extraordinary. The person who had finally opened up had shown tremendous courage. Not everyone has the strength to speak honestly when emotions are involved. Not everyone can reveal what truly matters to them. Yet that courage left a lasting impression. The more they thought about it, the more they realized how meaningful that moment had been. Then something surprising happened. A conversation began among family members when the person was not even present. One person shared their perspective. Then another. Then another. Soon everyone was discussing the future. Everyone was discussing possibilities. Everyone was discussing what they hoped would happen next. No one expected this discussion to become so important. But it did. And what was said during that conversation would later become one of the biggest surprises of all. Stay till the end. Do not skip. Something huge is waiting for you. As the discussion continued, a realization slowly emerged. The family was no longer focused on questions. They were focused on support. They were focused on encouragement. They were focused on understanding what would bring genuine happiness. This shift changed everything. Instead of wondering whether they approved, the real question became how they could help. Instead of uncertainty, there was consideration. Instead of hesitation, there was thoughtfulness. And while these discussions remained unseen, their impact continued growing. Days passed. Small signs began appearing. People became more attentive. Conversations became warmer. Interactions became more meaningful. Someone special could feel the difference, even if they could not fully explain it. There was a growing sense that something important was happening. A growing sense that something had shifted. A growing sense that a positive change was quietly unfolding. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Then came a moment that nobody expected. During an ordinary conversation, one family member revealed something astonishing. They admitted that the entire family had been talking. They admitted that they had spent time reflecting. They admitted that they wanted the very best outcome possible. For a moment, someone special could hardly believe what they were hearing. The realization was powerful. Their honesty had not created distance. It had created connection. Their openness had not pushed people away. It had brought people closer. And their courage had inspired conversations that might never have happened otherwise. That revelation changed the atmosphere completely. For the first time, they realized they were no longer carrying the weight alone. For the first time, they understood how many people genuinely cared. For the first time, they could see evidence that their voice truly mattered. Stay till the end. Do not skip. Something huge is waiting for you. But the most unforgettable part was still ahead. One evening, another discussion took place. It began casually. No one expected anything extraordinary. Yet within minutes, the conversation turned toward the future. Plans were mentioned. Dreams were discussed. Possibilities were explored. And then a statement was made that left everyone thinking. The statement was simple. Yet its meaning was enormous. The family believed that honesty had opened a new path. A path that was impossible to see before. A path filled with opportunity. A path filled with hope. A path filled with possibilities that had remained hidden until someone special finally found the courage to speak. That moment became unforgettable. Not because it was dramatic. Not because it was loud. But because it was real. Because it proved that one honest conversation can change far more than anyone expects. And that is the shocking truth hidden inside this story. The biggest transformation did not happen in a single moment. It happened gradually. One conversation created another. One truth created another. One act of courage inspired greater understanding. And little by little, everything began moving in a positive direction. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Because in the next part, an unexpected development will emerge, one that nobody saw coming. A revelation connected to those family discussions will finally come into the light, and the impact of that revelation will be far greater than anyone imagined. The story is only getting stronger, and what happens next may completely change the way you see everything that has happened so far. A quiet shift was taking place, and almost nobody could see it happening. The family conversations that started after someone special finally opened up were no longer simple discussions. They had become something much bigger. Every day brought new understanding. Every day brought new clarity. Every day brought new signs that something important was moving behind the scenes. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. What makes this part of the story so extraordinary is that the biggest developments often happen when nobody is paying attention. There are moments when life changes in complete silence. No announcements. No dramatic scenes. No obvious clues. Yet everything is being rearranged in ways that only become visible later. That is exactly what was happening now. Someone special continued living their normal routine. They believed the most significant moment had already happened when they opened up to their family. They believed the difficult part was over. What they did not know was that their honesty had created a chain reaction that was still unfolding. The family continued reflecting. The family continued talking. The family continued considering possibilities. And the deeper they thought, the more they realized something important. This was not a temporary conversation. This was not a passing moment. This was the beginning of a new chapter. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. One evening, a family member found themselves remembering details from the original conversation. They remembered the emotions. They remembered the sincerity. They remembered the courage it took to finally speak openly. And the more they reflected, the stronger their conviction became. Something meaningful was happening. Something worth supporting. Something worth believing in. That realization spread from one person to another. Soon multiple family members found themselves sharing similar thoughts. Soon multiple family members found themselves expressing the same hopes. Soon multiple family members began seeing the situation through an entirely new lens. This was unexpected. No one could have predicted it. Yet it was becoming impossible to ignore. The atmosphere around the entire situation was changing. And with every passing day, that change became stronger. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Then an unexpected conversation took place. It happened naturally. No one planned it. No one forced it. The discussion simply emerged. And during that discussion, a surprising question was asked. What if this moment was bigger than anyone originally believed? The room became quiet. Not because people disagreed, but because the question made everyone think. For the first time, they considered the possibility that this story was not about a single conversation. Perhaps it was about growth. Perhaps it was about understanding. Perhaps it was about creating stronger connections than ever before. That question remained in everyone's minds long after the conversation ended. And the answer slowly began revealing itself. Days later, another surprising moment arrived. Someone special noticed a change in the way family members interacted with them. There was more warmth. More encouragement. More interest. More support. At first, they thought it might be coincidence. Then they thought perhaps they were imagining it. But eventually the truth became impossible to deny. Something had changed. And that change was real. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. What they still did not know was why. They could feel the difference. They could see the difference. But they could not yet understand the full reason behind it. That answer was still hidden. That revelation was still waiting. And when it finally appeared, it would become one of the most memorable moments in the entire story. One afternoon, a family member decided to share something important. It was not a secret. It was not dramatic. Yet it carried tremendous meaning. They explained that after the original conversation, many people had continued discussing it because they genuinely cared. They explained that everyone wanted the best possible outcome. They explained that the courage shown that day had earned deep respect. For a moment, someone special was speechless. They had expected understanding. They had hoped for support. But they never imagined the impact would be this significant. That realization touched them deeply. Because sometimes we underestimate how much our honesty matters. Sometimes we underestimate how much people care. Sometimes we underestimate how powerful one truthful moment can become. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. As the days continued, another remarkable pattern appeared. Every conversation seemed to build on the last one. Every positive moment created another positive moment. Every act of understanding inspired even more understanding. The momentum continued growing. The connection continued strengthening. The future continued looking brighter. And then came the revelation that nobody expected. A family member admitted something surprising. They said that before the conversation happened, they had been uncertain. Not because they lacked care. Not because they lacked concern. But because they simply did not have the full picture. Once someone special opened up, everything changed. The missing pieces finally connected. The confusion disappeared. The uncertainty faded. And understanding took its place. That statement carried enormous weight. Because it revealed an important truth. People often want to understand. They simply need the opportunity. And when that opportunity finally arrives, amazing things can happen. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. At this point, the story had transformed completely. What began as a moment of courage had become a source of unity. What began as uncertainty had become clarity. What began as hesitation had become confidence. Yet the biggest surprise was still approaching. Something was happening beneath the surface. Something no one had fully noticed. Something that would soon become impossible to ignore. The family was no longer focused on the past. They were focused on the future. They were thinking ahead. They were imagining possibilities. They were considering what could come next. And those conversations were becoming more meaningful every day. That is why this moment matters so much. Because the true power of honesty is not what happens immediately after you speak. The true power of honesty is what continues happening long afterward. It creates understanding. It creates connection. It creates opportunities that never existed before. And in this story, those opportunities were beginning to take shape in remarkable ways. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Because in the next part, an unexpected discovery will finally come into the light. A realization that has been quietly growing behind the scenes will become impossible to ignore. The family discussions, the growing support, and the shifting atmosphere have all been leading toward one unforgettable moment. And when that moment arrives, it will reveal why everything that happened so far was preparing the way for something much bigger than anyone imagined.